Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another weather forecast here by Adrian Weather Forecast. This will be another tropical update here on the Atlantic as we now possibly have very close from now Hurricane Gonzalo here, as hurricane watches have been issued for the Lesser Antilles and Barbados and the far southeastern Caribbean. Very likely to strengthen a lot more as we get over on today. Very favorable conditions, other than a little drier. It seems like it could very well become a hurricane by maybe tonight. Also, huge updates. We now have Tropical Depression 8 in the Gulf of Mexico, and Tropical Depression 8 is expected to maybe become Tropical Storm Hanna by the end of today. So we have really huge updates here. The timing, the cone, where it's going to go, obviously all of that for both Gonzalo and Tropical Depression 8. So be sure to stay tuned for that, as now tropical storm watches also as well have been issued for much of the Texas coast from Houston to Corpus Christi. So that's also a huge other development here for the U.S. as well. Before we get the video, please check out the Awesome Weather Expo Discord server. They're an awesome weather community, so be sure to check that out if you have not already done so. Also, hit the like button as well if you really enjoy this video. Subscribe if you're new to show your awesome support, and also hit the post notification icon so you get notified as soon as I post a video. Also, short mention, I will be doing my weather, my preliminary winter forecast today later, most likely in the next hour or so. So be sure to stay tuned for my first preliminary winter forecast. Very exciting. Without further ado, let's get in this video. Here's a look at the National Hurricane Center here for the Atlantic. And as you see here, we have Tropical Depression 8 in the north central Gulf there, or dead center Gulf. And then we also have Gonzalo right here in the tropical Atlantic, making its way closer and closer to the southeastern Caribbean there. Here we have the Lesser Antilles and Barbados right in the way of the potential soon-to-be hurricane by the end of today, most likely. Here it is at 65 miles an hour. This is advisory number 7 here. And we have 55 knots or 65 miles an hour. So this thing is just 10 miles an hour from a hurricane status there, category 1. Minimum center pressure is a 997 millibars. So this thing is continuing to become more organized. Even though there is a little drier that made it fall apart overnight, it is going to continue to strengthen. It will come back together once again. And it is moving west at 12 miles an hour. So it is a decently fast moving storm. Here we have Tropical Depression 8 here now, maximum sustained winds at 30 miles an hour. So still not a tropical storm yet, but I do expect it to become a tropical storm within the next 6 to 12 hours here. So by today, really at 1,007 millibars it is right now. So it is decently getting to that minimal center pressure worth of tropical storm status, and also down moving west northwest at 9 miles an hour. So it's not the fastest moving storm, so it is actually making it more favorable to become a tropical storm with these really warm waters, and also very moist air and little shear. Here's a look now at satellite imagery here for tropical storm Gonzalo. As you see, of course, it is falling apart. It's continuing to fall apart. There is drier that is opening up this low pressure in the center of the storm, which is kind of why it is having less cloud cover, really. But this doesn't mean it's not going to become a hurricane or it's going to fall apart. This isn't really falling apart strength-wise. It's actually strengthening strength-wise. But it is falling apart structure-wise and being a little bit less maybe organized, you could say that. But later today, this will be looking a lot more tropical by the end of today. So it's just a little phase. Obviously, it's going to continue to be a hurricane. It's going to be a hurricane by later today, really. So it's not like necessarily falling apart necessarily. It's just the dryer's getting to it a little bit. But don't expect like a huge decrease in wind or strength, really. Don't expect that. National Hurricanes are still expected to become a hurricane now by as early as today in the evening hours. So as you see, 8 a.m. update does show it here. Tropical storm wind extent here over the X at 8 a.m. And we are expecting it to become a hurricane by as early as possibly maybe 8 o'clock tonight, most likely. So really keeping a close eye on this. Maybe even 2 o'clock early afternoon, we could expect a hurricane, really. Just depends exactly how fast this low pressure can enclose with the moisture bubble again, and then keep that dryer out. As you see, tropical storm watches have been extended now, or not extended, have been issued for many of the Lesser Antilles Islands, and also including Barbados. So that is something to watch for. If this does become a hurricane by today, expect hurricane warnings by tomorrow morning once it does officially become a hurricane. something very interesting. Hurricane Gonzalo to possibly go straight through those areas of the the southeastern Caribbean, and after that, it is expected in the next 4 to 5 days to be into the getting closer and closer to the Western Caribbean. They're entering the Jamaica area, Haiti, DR. You guys are also in the cone for this, so could expect maybe a slight to close call landfall, especially for the western tip of Haiti right there. It'd be a very close call, as models are still indicating maybe a close landfall for those areas in your Haiti, Jamaica. You definitely need to be on the lookout. It's been a while really since there has been a Jamaican landfall, and it's a really so this is going to be a huge surprise, especially for July. So really expect maybe a tropical storm, if not hurricane landfall. I do expect this maybe become a hurricane, but again, once it gets near Jamaica, I do not think it's just going to stay a tropical storm for that long. Really, it has hundreds of miles of just pure warm waters and very low wind shear, and the wind drier at this point won't be that bad necessarily. So that's something to keep a look out. As we enter the track guidance here, this is also new data. As you see, models are continuing to show, of course, hitting the areas of the southern Lesser Antilles, Barbados. As of now, no models do show you getting directly over the eye, but it does show you possibly getting hit by either the outer bands, maybe the eye wall of the tropical storm, or soon to be a hurricane. So really, as of now, you aren't going to get a direct impact or direct landfall, but it'll be a very close call. Like I said, some models are showing it affecting the far western part of Haiti. If that happens, maybe expect maybe an eastern Gulf storm, maybe once it does go into the eastern Gulf, but many models are showing it either going south of Jamaica, really, which means it could either go into the Cancun area or the Western Gulf, or it can go north of Jamaica, and that could mean more of a Cuba storm and maybe Eastern or Central Gulf storm. But here is the general eye at this point. This is my this is my cone really for this storm. This is where I think, in general, where this storm could possibly go. So it's still a huge uncertainty to really exactly where it's going to go. But Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, you guys definitely want to be on the lookout after this storm just passes the Lesser Antilles. Tropical Storm Gonzalo intensity guidance here. New update: expect a hurricane by the next 6 hours, just less than 12 hours. So as late as the next maybe 12 hours. So really, by today, we are expecting a hurricane. And maybe slowly, but surely moving closer to a Category 2. I still have hope for a Category 2, really. I don't think the thing's going to just stay as a tropical storm right after it passes Lesser Antilles. That doesn't really make any sense, really. But now let's go and check out now Invest 91L. Sorry, actually Tropical Depression 8. Here's Tropical Depression 8. As you see, it's very organized, a lot better looking on satellite imagery than Tropical Storm Gonzalo. Very dense cloud cover. We're starting to see some banding here of the outer bands, kind of, and we may or may not see some interesting, very dense cloud, a fluffy cloud in the center of this storm. So it could mean that it is actually starting to strengthen here. A decent amount of convection, really, but here is, it's a pretty large cloud cover, really, as a tropical depression. So there it is, right there, most likely going to head right here. So it does have a lot of time to strengthen. I don't see this becoming a hurricane. I'm predicting anywhere from 60 to 70 miles an hour. It is only at 30 right now. It does have around, I believe, three and a half days until it makes landfall, and it's 30 degrees Celsius. It is moving at 9 miles an hour. So I do expect it to maybe have a little, not a huge outburst or rapid intensification. I just see it as strengthening to either a strong to a kind of a strong moderate tropical storm there. But I do expect this to become a tropical storm by the later tonight here. So there it is, Tropical Depression 8. Very already tropical storm watches here for portions of the Texas coast. Go check that out. As you see, the Houston area is under tropical storm watch. Areas near Corpus Christi, Brownsville, much of the Texas coast, though, much of it is under a tropical storm watch. Here you have it, expected to be a tropical storm by later tomorrow. I do think it could possibly be a tropical storm by the end of tonight, if not very early tomorrow morning as we are sleeping. So I really think this could be a tropical storm a lot sooner than expected. I do not see it becoming a tropical storm by tomorrow at 1. I could see it sooner, really. But as you see, it's supposed to make landfall just north of just north of Corpus Christi near the Brownsville area, I believe. So Brownsville, that's where it's going to be making a landfall as a tropical storm there. So some really nice storm here for the Gulf though. So this could be a early Texas July landfall. So that'll be another U.S. landfall to add on for the list of 2020. Here we go, check the track guidance here. So here's the tropical depression guidance, model track guidance. As you see, the furthest northern model does show just south of Houston, and the furthest southern model just shows it near Corpus Christi. So models are somewhat agreeing actually, decently. So this is basically the cone for where the storm can go. Obviously, this is a huge cone once it gets to the Mexico area. So we aren't expecting it to be like this, or that going to be affecting that much flooding. Really, it's going to be more of a huge northern Mexico storm in southern Texas. So could see a lot of rain for as far as Houston, Austin, State College, El Paso. You guys can get some rain as far as El Paso. So this is going to be a very interesting storm here, a southern Texas storm. And then the intensity guidance now, models are showing it becoming more of a strong to moderate tropical storm here. So around, that's 45 knots, so that's 55 miles an hour. Like I'm saying, I'm possibly seeing up to 60 to 70 miles an hour at its peak. So its peak can either be at 60 or its peak could be at 70. So if its peak at 60, then that'll be somewhat a accurate term or accurate forecast there. But 60 to 70 miles an hour will be its peak in my opinion. Tropical storm within the next 6 hours. Like I said, this is going to be a lot. These things are organizing a lot more, a lot faster than expected. But it will be really becoming a tropical storm very soon. I just don't see it becoming. I don't see it becoming a hurricane really. Global models are actually seen as tropical or as a tropical storm. So that's what's very interesting about this. Here's a look at the moisture here for both the whole northern Atlantic, and here we have, of course, tropical storm Gonzalo. As you see, there is a little drier entering the center of the storm right now. Currently, I think that 997 millibars, and here we have now tropical depression 8 with a little bit less moisture. There is a little drier in front of the storm, but that won't really do much. Really, it's going to be impressive. The next 24 hours, expect this to be at 988 millibars, tropical storm Gonzalo, and here we do have now also the or actually possibly this would be a hurricane Gonzalo at this point, 988 millibars, and then here we have tropical depression 8. At this point, it could be a very maybe weak to moderate tropical storm. Like I said, 60 to 70 miles an hour is the peak in my opinion from that range, and then expect it to make a landfall. Tropical storm Gonzalo as maybe as 1,000 millibars to 990. So that's a huge range there. And as you see, this isn't going to have too much drier to worry about necessarily, but this moisture is going to take it all the way into portions of the Bay of Campeche and Cancun. So GFS still showing the moisture taking it up all the way to Cancun and not really the Gulf of Mexico where we have a threat for U.S. landfall. Wind shear, as you see, there's very little wind shear at all, really, for tropical depression 8. The center of the storm actually has 0 knots, but just around it has around 20 knots. Same with actually tropical storm Gonzalo, expected at 996 millibars by the next 6 hours. And we are going to be seeing around scattered 30 knots here. So that's not impressive. That's not going to be anything to take down the storm, really, necessarily. As you see, the same thing, they have a little shear around it, but look at the tropical depression 8. No shear whatsoever around it when it makes landfall within the next 42 hours. Really no shear at all. And shear will pick up a little bit for tropical depression. Tropical storm Gonzalo, or soon to be hurricane Gonzalo, but that won't be obviously enough, like I said, to take things down. Also, we check now the precipitation rate. Here we have this bringing a ton of rain, as well as tropical depression 8 bringing a ton of rain as far as the Florida coast and even much of the Gulf Coast. And as you see, this thing is going to make landfall within the next 42 hours. And then we have continuing to see Hurricane Gonzalo soon to be really starting to strengthen a lot more. And at that point, we kind of lose track after it goes past Jamaica. We kind of lose track of where the storm actually goes. Here's a quick look now at what we're going to be looking at for hurricane or tropical storm Gonzalo right now. Within the next 6 hours, we can see expect 55 knots. So actually 55.5. So maybe seeing 66 miles an hour there at that point. And then we get later on, this can bring it up to 68 knots. So this will bring it up to around 79 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour. And then it will be possibly making landfall. Maybe either a tropical storm or a hurricane. That's still the thing we're really kind of still not 100% sure about. National Hurricane Center does show it making landfall as a hurricane, but also the GFS and other models do not show it doing that. Let's go now check out now as well So that's basically it, really. That's going to really wrap up the video. That's not really much else to talk about necessarily. We're going to continue to monitor, obviously, this becoming a hurricane by the end of today, most likely, and even maybe a tropical storm Hanna by the end of today at really late tonight. So that's where we're continuing to monitor. I will have a video on the winter forecast later today, very soon after this video, and also this afternoon, a update on major Hurricane Douglas. So I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Please do not forget to like and subscribe as well, and hit the post notification icon. Even check out now the Weather Expo Discord server. Without further ado, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you guys in the next uploads.